Hello, and welcome back for round 4 of Legacy here at the Boardroom in Haarlem. Um, it's the last round. On the left, you will see Mark playing his beloved Death and Taxes. He's been playing this deck for a while and knows a lot of the ins and outs. And on the right, you might know him. It's the killer on steroids with his Chalice of the Voids, the party crasher with his reality smasher. It is Vincent on Blood Eldrazi. We've seen Vincent take down the previous 2 rounds. Here on a Mulligan 2-5, the games against Death and Taxes can be really difficult and grindy. Goes both ways. But both decks do have some really good tools, so let's see what this game brings, right? Vincent starts out on an Ancient Tomb, going down to 18 life and a turn 1 Bloodsun. Pretty good. We know Mark plays Wastelands, which is really good against Eldrazi. We know Mark plays Richardson Ports. This makes those cards a bit more useless. We see a turn 1 Ether File from Death and Taxes, of course. A really good card. Make sure they can do a lot of different tricks with it, and also with a low amount of lands. As you can see, Mark here only stuck on 1 land. Still with the Ether Files, he's sure he can do some stuff with it. Vincent on 4, potentially 5 mana, also not costing anything. It's a strange start to the game. Ether Files tick up to 2 and 1. And we've got a second land for Mark. And I think I see a Stoneforge, a Flicker Wisp over there, Recruiter, and a Talia. Vincent going down to 16, taking care of the Talia with his Bone Crusher Giant, who goes on an adventure. Let's see if he can put some pressure down though. I see he drew an extra land, placed an extra land. Well, at least he's got the Bone Crusher Giant. Very good. In that way, it's kind of a 2-for-1. You both got the removal and the creature. So I really like that addition to this deck. Stoneforge Mystic coming down. Let's see what he finds. It's a Caldra complete. It's a 5/5 with living weapon, so it makes a germ. So it gives +5/+5, of course. Haste, trample, if I'm not mistaken. The artifact itself is indestructible, but also the germ token is indestructible. So I don't know what Vincent can do against this Caldra, but I imagine it's a pretty strong card against the Blood Eldrazi deck. And I imagine it comes down right about now. Mark expertly doesn't forget his living weapon trigger, attaches a germ to it, and attacks, putting Vincent down to 11. Vincent lamenting the fact that it actually also gives haste to the creatures. I agree, it's a very strong equipment here. Just comes down and it's just a clock. It's just really fast. Vincent drawing Fiery Confluence, but of course the living weapon itself, I mean the Caldra, does have indestructible. So Fiery Confluence could potentially maybe like take out the Ether Files. Vincent smashing in with his Crusher. Mark, I thought he had a Flicker Wisp, so let's see. Don't know what he has. Not really sure what else he has on hand, but let's see what he chooses to do with his attack. He's still should still be at 20. As we can see, Mark is really helpful and not using the die, so we can see what his life totals are. Thank you, Mark. Flicker Wisp. Alright, flickers the Bone Crusher Giant, so it will return to the battlefield at the end of turn. So it just prevents 4 damage for Mark. Ooh, ooh. I think Vincent is trying to destroy the cauldron complete. And 2 damage to each creature. Mark helpfully reminding Vincent that it is in fact indestructible. Saying, you should probably not do that. Let's see what Vincent chooses then. So maybe the 2 ether vials and just taking out the flicker wisp would be good, because Mark seems to be a bit tight on mana, so taking care of the ether vials is probably good. And he just has to hope he can put enough creatures down to pressure Mark back. I mean, Reality Smasher into Reality Smasher into Reality Smasher might do it. But he's at 11 already, so... Mark searches up the Battle Skull with his second Stoneforge Mystic, which came down after the Ether Vial on 2. Before the Ether Vial was destroyed. Let's see. A 3rd land, which is good. I see he has 2 swords, so looking rather grim for Vincent here. Keeping 1 Stoneforge Mystic open. Probably putting down a Battle Skull then. Vincent takes 6, goes down 2-5. Untaps, draws a card. And he says, I've had enough, let's go to game number 2. Yeah, the color complete seemed to be really good in this game. And I'm wondering what kind of answers Vincent has in his board for that particular card. I can imagine Mark's first thing he wants to do with his Stoneforge is looking up the color. So we are now at 1 game for Mark, 0 for Vincent. Both at 20, and let's see what game number 2 brings. Should be somewhere around here. Vincent keeping his 7. And Mark also seeming to keep his 7. Start with a Grove the Burn Willow, Chromac, so we have some fast mana, that's good. And I do see a Chalice, which is pretty good against Death and Taxes if you get it down on the play. Preventing Ether Vials, Swords to Plowshares, maybe Path to Exiles from the sideboard. Prevents Mother of Runes, but in general against Eldrazi, Mother of Runes is not that good because it doesn't care about, because Mother of Runes doesn't protect against colorless. Although against this particular Blood Eldrazi deck, protecting against the red spells and the removal actually might be really good. So the Chalice of 1 is it's exactly the start that Vincent wants. And now let's see if he can have a good follow-up. Alright, we have a Revoker, so naming Stoneforge Mystic. So yeah, the Stoneforge Mystic can't be activated, but it still can find maybe Umasawa's Jitters, maybe a sword, although he could have boarded that out or didn't bring it in. I think I might have liked just waiting for the Stoneforge Mystic to come down first. Make sure he searches up his more expensive equipment and then Revoker it. But I think I actually... I'm trying to take a look at Mark's hand. I see some Wastelands, and I think I saw a Jit actually already in hand. I think I do see a Stoneforge. but at least it looks like a better start to the game than game 1 for Vincent here. He's probably hoping to get some extra pressure down, maybe some Eldrazi coming in. Here comes the jitter from Mark. So what Mark probably wants is just put a creature down and maybe start hitting with the jitter. Here we have the temple. Could be a Thought-Knot here. Yep, let's see what Mark has. I see a Stoneforge Mystic, Wasteland, Plains, Sanctum Prelate, Batterskull and Path Exile. Yeah, what do you take? Vincent goes for the Sanctum Prelate. Maybe the most relevant body. I'm not too sure if the text on it is that important, although most of the remove from Vincent's side, or a lot of the removal on Vincent's side, is of course on 2 mana. So yeah, I can see this as a good choice. So let's see what Mark does here. Maybe play the. He goes for the Wasteland, which means he'll probably play the Stoneforge Mystic, and then he has a body to attach the jitter to for next turn. Passing the turn to Vincent. It is quite can be the house of cards on Vincent's side, because for example if Mark draws a Skyclave Apparition, he can take out the Chalice, freeing up the Path to Exile, which can take out the Revoker, freeing the Stoneforge Mystic to put down a Cauldron. So it is kind of a house of cards on Vincent's side, but you know, if he can keep the pressure up and actually finish the game before this sequence happens, he's still looking good right now. If I'm not mistaken, Mark should be at 16. Having been attacked once by the Thought-Knot Seer. Vincent still at 20. Alright, Jitter gets attached to the Stoneforge Mystic. I can't. Yeah, this is tough because. Well, of course, you just want to swing here. It seems like Vincent has a response. Yeah, it's Punishing Fire on the Stoneforge Mystic. Of course, letting Mark waste his mana by letting him equip the Jitty first. The Wasteland on the Grove seems to be really good here. And another Thought-Knot Seer. So Mark down to 10 from the attack. And then let's take a look at his hand. Recruiter, Kaldra, Batterskull, Path Exile and Caracas. Yeah, the Recruiter, the one thing he can actually play. And with 10 damage on board, Mark has to do something here or else it's game over. Plays the Caracas, and what is his draw? No, it's Plains. So that's game 2 for Vincent. They're now tied in games 1 and 1. As you can see, the Chalice did a lot of work there. Some extra disruption, and then just a clock with beaters and some hand disruption. The Thought-Knot Seers being really good there. It was kind of a house of cards, but Vincent managed to close the game before that was actually an issue. So well done. We are now 1 and 1 going into game number 3. Let's see here. Both at 20. And then game number 3. Mark on the play, I imagine. Let's see if we can find out. Mark keeping. I see a lot of mana on Vincent's side. Maybe a Blood Sun and... Right, turn 1 Ether Vial. I see a Wasteland in Mark's hand too. Turn 1 Ether Vial, really good. He just drew a second Blood Sun. Not quite what you want to see. I see some Groves. Maybe a Smasher there, yep. Mark keeping his hands a bit more closed. I thought I saw a Path Exile. Maybe a Flicker Wisp. Let's see. Definitely Flicker Wisp. And we have a turn 2 Thalia. Yeah, if Vincent doesn't have any fast mana like the Soul Lands or the Chromes, the Thalia actually can slow him down quite a bit. I think he was planning on playing a turn 2 Blood Sun maybe, but now his Ancient Tomb of course in danger from Wastelands. Which Mark draws. Or he actually had another one, so... Can imagine Vincent not being too happy with his Wasteland, when, especially with Thalia preventing his Blood Sun. But he can take care of the Thalia with his adventurous Bone Crusher Giant. And let's see what the play is for Mark here. He has an Ether Vial on 2 mana open. I think I see 4 cards on hand. Activate Stone. Is that a Stoneforge? It is a Stoneforge. Stoneforge, just a really solid card here. Finding the Cauldra. What's his other choice? We see a Flicker Wisp, Stoneforge, a Plains, and a Swords to Plowshares, I think. He didn't put his Stoneforge Mystic into play, maybe afraid of another removal from Vincent's side. And now he does play it. Leaving the Ether Vial at 3, so a Flicker Wisp open to protect the Stoneforge and maybe even get some more value out of it. That's a solid play there, yeah. I like it. Finding the Cauldra. Vincent with his Chalice. Draw, not the best at this moment. Yeah, he wants to protect his mana base first. Vincent saying it, he preferred it if he could have played that turn 2, but Thalia had other plans. So this is good. The for Mark, he's still, yeah. Vincent tapped out, not having to worry about removal. He can just put in his what is it? A Recruiter of the Guard there. Opts to go for a Flicker Wisp, it seems. Oh, Flicker Wisp Stoneforge, get some more equipment. Sure, yeah. Maybe it wasn't a Recruiter actually. I think they officially went to Vincent's end step, and if he would have Flicker Wisp the Stoneforge there, of course it would only return to the battlefield at the end of Mark's turn, by which time he would have preferred to have the Cauldra down. So instead choose to go for the Recruiter for another Flicker Wisp. Ether Vials and Flicker Wisps, a match made in heaven for sure. Alright, so here comes the beatdown, I guess, with the Cauldra. Vincent having Vincent having a lot of trouble with the Cauldra. So Vincent going down to 12. That's an might have missed the damage somewhere, but and on Mark's own end step, he Flicker Wisps the mountain, of course The mountain comes back at Vincent's end step, so it's like taking care of one land for a turn. Yep, Vincent's on the back foot. Let's see if he can find something to do here to get him back into the game. I still see a lot of land. See if Traitor comes down. Of course, the Bloodstone also making sure that if Vincent plays another land, the City of Traitor doesn't have to be sacrificed, so that's good. Plays. Alright, Fire Confluence, always good. 2 life for Mark, so it goes down up to 22, I think. Cleaning up a lot of the board, taking care of the Ether Vial, a couple of the creatures, but the Caldra is still there. Ritual Import comes down, just taps for colorless, of course because of the Bloodstone. I see Shatter Skulls smashing in Vincent's hand. Also doesn't do too much against the Caldra. Flicker Wisp bounces the planes, Caldra comes in for 5, puts Vincent down to 7. Yeah. Not too sure about Vincent's sideboard, but he does need to find something for that Caldra. Another land is definitely not what he wants. Even the Bone Crusher Giant as a jump blocker is not that good, because the Caldra would still deal 2 damage, leaving him at 5, and you'd have the same clock. So the Flicker Wisp, of course. The Mark has lethal, of course, on board with the Flicker Wisp and the Caldra together. So it's looking in Vincent's hand. I don't think I'm seeing a lot of useful cards right now. Seems they're discussing together how Vincent can actually survive the next turn. It's very nice. It's a collaborative effort to keep Vincent alive here, but it looks to be a really tough job. See, still I'm not sure what else he has in hand. Grove, Chalice. Yeah, cast the Bone Crusher. Mark going up to 24. Yeah, the Shed Skull for 1 on the Flicker Wisp, at least keeping him alive. Passes the turn to Mark. Now, the Bone Crusher chomping the Caldra doesn't actually give him an extra, doesn't give Vincent an extra turn because of the trample on the Caldra, so he really has to draw something good here. I think he has a Smasher on hand too, which actually can jump for a turn. Yeah. Vincent opts to take the damage, goes down to 2. I think it was supposed to be 2, right? Still thinking about whether he should be blocking or not. It's a tough choice. He has a Smasher. No, doesn't block, goes to 2. Yep. I mean, you might as well play as if you're drawing an answer to the Caldra complete. I think he is that a dead gun. It's a split card from I think the original Time Spiral with the The gone side being an instant for 1 red and 2 colorless. Yeah, it is dead gone. And it says return target creature you don't control to its owner's hand. Um, that's a pretty good draw, I would say. So, and he has the Smasher. Can he? Yeah, that's tempo. And then he can't play both the Smasher and the Dead Gun, I think, but still, yeah. Mark, Vincent now actually able to swing, and this is why I did like the not blocking the Cauldron there. So, if you do draw an answer, which you needed anyway, you actually have a creature down to put some pressure on Mark on this side. So it's the gun. Germ, be gone. That was a good draw there. So, if I'm not mistaken, Vincent with a Bloodstone and a Smasher. And on Mark's side, I see a Swords Plowshares, a Council's Judgment, that's good. Still has the Better Skull, of course, and is that a... not sure, maybe a Mother of Runes could be. Yeah, when I mentioned Mother before, I was thinking about the more traditional Eldrazi decks, but of course in this matchup, Mother is just actually, I think, a good card. So. Mark being surprised at not being able to close the game this turn, so has to come up with a new battle plan. Um, and we know Vincent is about to come down with a Smasher. So Mark passing the turn. I think he's looking for, I don't know, more mana, just cast a Better Skull maybe. Second Bloodstone. It's just insurance. Draws a card which is a land, not the best. And I imagine this is 5 mana for a Smasher. And he has 1 Chromox on hand. Alright. Coming in 4-9. I think Mark's at 11. If I've missed something somewhere, uh, we'll find out later, I guess. So let's see. Is this the classic turnaround game where the player beaten down turns around the game and manages to still win, or is this the... Yes, this is the land Mark needed for the Better Skull, putting him right back in the game. Although it's a lot more even right now than it was 3 minutes ago. So Mark should be at 11. Vincent at 2. Should have some blockers for the at least the Better Skull. Just Smasher coming in, keeping back the Bonecrusher Giant to block the Better Skull. So what does Mark want to do here? Not. He takes the 5, goes down to 6, I think. There, much better. Oh, I think he is gonna block. So I think he mentioned going to 14 there. I'm not sure, but couldn't he have not blocked and then attack with Better Skull and trade with the Bone Crusher Giant, making a forced trade? Although he does have he already had the Council's Judgment, so that's probably going after the Smasher. So yeah, I think maybe he was afraid of yeah, maybe stuff like Fiery Confluences and like a whole lot of punishing flyers. So yeah, that alright, that makes sense if he's afraid of those cards. Yeah, and he's probably thinking if I'm now at 14 and he just has the Bone Crusher Giant, he makes a better chance. Vincent drawing more lands, it seems. Yeah, attacks for 4, Mark goes down to 10. Let's see what he can draw. Looks like a Caracas. I see a Skyclave Apparition here. Could free up his Swords to Plowshares. Takes care of the Bone Crusher. I think taking care of the Chalice and then having actually a removal and a Mother of Runes on the same turn. Because now he's still stuck with those 2 cards in hand, which don't do anything. But at least the threat, the immediate threat, is now gone. Place the Caracas. Bat Skull attached to the Skyclave. Yeah, and Vincent just with lands and Chromax. This game goes to Mark, who ended this evening on 4-0. Congratulations, Mark. Well played. And thank you for listening. As I've probably not said in a couple of rounds, but I will say now. If you've seen anything you want to comment about or something you want to add to this game, please leave a comment. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Robbie's Admiral Vortex channel if you like. I would like to thank Robbie for this opportunity to help him out for a bit, and I must say it was fun. Let's see if we can do this another time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you another time. Bye bye.